A few moments ago, I opened this ceremony with the traditional words spoken at commencement. To the members of the class of 2020, welcome. But now, I want to begin my remarks to this very, very special class with something slightly different. To the members of the class of 2020, welcome back! We made it! You're here! Whether you're sitting here in the stadium today or joining us virtually, we are all together again for this really important moment. Thank you for coming back, and thank you for asking me to speak today. I have been so eagerly awaiting this day since I first congratulated you and bid this class a virtual farewell last year from across a computer screen after your unexpected and early departure from our beloved campus. That was, and this is, a historic moment. This time last year, you were concluding profound work and a profound journey of learning and discovery, rich with transformational and enduring relationships, and marked by unique individual and collective achievements. And you were looking toward the beginning of the next phases of your lives. But we all know you had to take those steps during a time of tremendous global upheaval and uncertainty. Like all of society, and for the greater good, you were asked to adapt. Completing your final courses online, you were the pioneers of a new learning landscape in its initial rushed iteration. This involved a great amount of personal sacrifice and no small amount of courage. The celebrations and experiences that normally accompany those final months of school with friends and beloved professors were either done in haste, you remember well, or maybe even canceled altogether. And in those uncertain days of March 2020, we all hoped those changes might prove temporary and that we'd be reunited a year ago in May for our traditional commencement and your well-deserved rite of passage. Of course, that couldn't happen. When May 2020 came, we were spread far and wide. Many of you were at home with your families. And I want to take a minute right now to pay tribute to your families. Our students' families, you are unique and valuable, invaluable contributors to our vibrant Vanderbilt community. As a parent of a college student myself, I personally know the difficulties some families faced. Not only did we have to sacrifice the cherished celebrations of our children's accomplishments, many of us welcomed them back into our homes at a time when, let's face it, as much as they love us, home was not where they wanted to be. Parents and families, I know you shouldered your graduates' understandable sadness, supported them through anxiety, and yes, sometimes endured their presence, helping them set up workstations and having Zoom calls in spaces that maybe had already been taken over by younger siblings or reserved for your own remote work. Or perhaps in the middle of the kitchen table at inopportune times, or maybe even the middle of the living room sofa. Where did you all camp out? Graduates, let's now say thank you to these remarkable people, to your families, who are heroes and will always be part of the Vanderbilt family. So graduates of the class of 2020, as I've summarized, yours has been a time of, we use this word quite a bit, unprecedented challenges, from which the world is only hopefully now beginning to emerge. The world has and is experiencing unfathomable loss of human life and a disruption to the fundamental forces that drive our society, the effects of which we hope will not be felt for too many more years to come. You've inherited a uniquely complex and, I would say, frightening world, but I know you have entered it with unmatched resilience and in the spirit of service to the public good. Those laudable characteristics will be with you forever. They will be a well from which you can continually draw across all the years ahead. I know that for many of you, your plans may have changed. Things may not be as you had expected them when you began your Vanderbilt education. But today, on this beautiful, beautiful May morning, I want to share with you why I think your education here at Vanderbilt and this past year have prepared you for whatever may come. Some of these insights come from my own story over these past 2 years, your senior year and then this subsequent year. When you left last year, I was serving as interim chancellor and provost, the first woman to lead Vanderbilt University. And now, like you, I'm also saying goodbye. I'll be leaving Vanderbilt this summer to become the first woman to serve as president of Wake Forest University. Just like your goodbyes, it's a truly bittersweet feeling, made all the more poignant by the journey that brought me here and the many people who have supported and mentored me and inspired me along the way. When I began my career at Vanderbilt as a department chair and scientist, I didn't know that I would one day be Vanderbilt's first woman provost and later interim chancellor. Being your provost and interim chancellor was an opportunity of a lifetime, and one that I approached with much joy. During your senior year, I was looking forward to building on the initiatives I'd started and move them further forward, or to further developing my capacity to lead this great university. It was a proud and exciting moment in my career, which of course, just like your senior year, unexpectedly coincided with a global pandemic that brought with us the greatest crisis higher education has ever faced. When the pandemic hit, I had to let go of all of my preconceived notions of what the last months of my tenure as interim chancellor would entail. I had to radically adapt and lead with empathy through a period of unknowable turbulation. Faced with one difficult decision after another, I had to rely on my values and the values of our institution, calling on the community, the families, the students, the faculty, the staff, to mobilize quickly, to mobilize their compassion, their creativity, and the remarkable ability to collaborate across boundaries that make our learning environment so unique. I learned that together, we could do what we never thought was possible. And at the same time, I found within myself new depths of fortitude. Now I'm carrying all that with me, everything that I've learned, into the next adventure of my career. And In those steps, I'll create new ways of having impact. And like you, I will remain forever grateful for the connections and everything that I've learned from my treasured Vanderbilt community. In the essence of the most defining moment at the helm of this university, it was not the moment that I'd expected, but I had to rise to meet it. And now, graduates, it's my turn to ask you. You have stepped up to one moment, but how will you meet your moments in life going forward? What abiding values, intellectual resources, and support networks will you draw from your education, from what you've experienced this past year, when those challenging future and opportune moments come your way? I'd like to now share a couple stories from our very own 2020 graduates that I find particularly inspiring examples of the entrepreneurial, service-minded spirit of Vanderbilt students. At the beginning of 2020, two seniors Samantha Margolis and Bradley Gelman, they accepted positions with prominent consulting firms, which they looked forward to pursuing after graduation. But when COVID-19 came along, disrupting communities and heightening the vast social inequities that exist in our nation's education system, their plans changed. They placed their consulting careers on hold. Samantha and Bradley teamed up to found Bright Path Tutors, an innovative learning platform that pairs volunteer college students and recent graduates in tutoring relationships with underserved high school students. They discovered that their peers were more than eager to join the effort, and they relied on expertise from Vanderbilt professors and education leaders to grow their platform and develop partnerships with leading education nonprofits. Now, Brightspace Tutors engages hundreds of students in Nashville and New York City metro areas alone. It has expanded to include a program that guides at-risk and first-generation students through the college application process, and it now hopes to become a sustained movement for young reformers working to address education inequality nationwide. In effect, Samantha and Bradley never planned to dedicate their talent and intelligence to this effort, but that's exactly what happened. It's exactly what their moment asked of them, and they boldly stepped up to answer it. For others of you, the pandemic gave shape and clarity to what you were already planning and furthered the impact you could have, as in the case of Tammy Livermont. As a Master of Public Health student and a citizen of the Oglala Lakota Nation in South Dakota, Tammy started a job as a public health liaison before even completing her studies at Vanderbilt. She was eager to shape policy to improve Native American health care. But just a week into her position with the Great Plains Tribal Chairman's Health Board, Tammy was helping to lead the fight against the COVID-19 crisis. On reservations that were already suffering from depleted healthcare services, she found herself taking extreme measures to save lives and redoubling her commitment to doing everything she could to work with government leaders to get Native people the health care they needed. Tammy boldly stepped up to what the moment asked of her. Class of 2020, looking out across this field, I know there are even more examples here today that I wish I had time to highlight. I know you have already gone on to find unique opportunities and accomplish great things. I know you are just at the beginning of your impact. In your professional careers, in your paths of continuing education, in your service to your communities, and in your personal lives, you have the power to be truly exceptional and to benefit mankind in ways untold. You've proven this already throughout your time here in your final unique year and ever since. I believe you will meet your moments many times in the future, and that you will continue to be sources of support and inspiration for one another. And while the world might be rapidly changing, Vanderbilt will always be here. The anchor down motto that we rally around is a truly apt symbol for the fact that throughout your lives, you will always have this anchor aboard for your journey. And you can reach for that anchor whenever you need it, when you're navigating storms or when you're landing on a bright shore. In closing, I want to share a quote and one final thought after that quote that I think speak to your shared experience as a class and to your individual journeys ahead. Do you remember during the spring of 2019, 2 years ago, spring of 2019, most of you were probably here on campus, we hosted Dr. Mae Jemison for the April Chancellor's Lecture Series. Dr. Jemison is an accomplished educator, engineer, and physician who was the first Black woman astronaut in space. She once said, quote, "Don't let anyone rob you of your imagination, your creativity, or your curiosity. It's your place in the world. It's your life. Go on and do all you can with it and make it the life you want to live." Make it the life you want to live. This quote resonates in a couple ways. First, in our relentlessly goal-driven society, it reminds us that there's no single right answer about what a person should accomplish in a life. Only that we can tap into our human potential to create a place for ourselves in the world. We should not fear our journeys ahead, but relish them and find within ourselves the means for personal growth and renewal. Last year, when it was time to define your place in the world during a uniquely difficult time, your class, the class of 2020, used imagination, creativity, and curiosity to make the most of the challenging circumstances, and you found new ways to thrive. You discovered reserves of character, of resilience, opportunity, and shared community, traits that will be needed again and again throughout your lives and will truly serve you well. I also want to share one final thought from my experience as a leader at Vanderbilt. During the fall of that year, the fall of 2019, on the day of Founders Walk, I gave all new incoming students a compass. And inside each was inscribed my quote, "The direction of your path may change, but knowledge and discovery will guide you forward." In August of 2019, this was a message for new students. But if I'd known then what I know now, I would have given each of you that compass. It proved to be a message for our entire community through not only that year, but the last 2 years. Graduates, you have learned above all that life's journey is never straightforward, There are bends in the road that prevent our ability to predict what lies ahead. There are unexpected moments. But through your education, through your lifelong learning and discovery, you are empowered and will be guided through uncertain times. So, to the great class of 2020, step up to embrace all of life's most precious moments. I know you are prepared for all that lies ahead. Thank you, and it's been a true honor to address you today.